Good day, everyone, and especially to my instructor, Dr. Greg Refujo. I am about to present to you my research proposal entitled Factors Affecting Organizational Performance in Rural Banks of the Dapitan and Dipolog Cities. Now let's begin with Chapter 1, The Problem and its Scope. Organizational performance is to enhance both the effectiveness of an organization and well-being of its members through planned interventions. One of the three key points of the organizational development which lead to organizational performance are when many organizations develop effort to increasing organizational learning with the intent of the impacting organization performance. Organization performance also was referring to the actual output or results of an organization as measured against its intended outputs, goals, and objectives. Organizational performance includes strategic planning, operations, financial, legal, and organization development. Organization may achieve its goal when each of the employees understand the rules and responsibilities for the organization, and there should be continuous communication between the management, leaders, and employees to set performance expectations, monitor program, and achieve a good result. Performance of the organization can be measured and it can be defined as all aspects of performance that are relevant for the existence of the organization as a whole and success as the way the organization carries its objectives into effect. Thus, effective organization performance must be covered for all aspects of performance that are relevant for the existence of an organization, which means the organization achieved successful and growth. But there are factors affecting organization performance such as leadership, organizational justice, compensation and benefits, and employee engagement. Theoretical and conceptual framework. Organizational performance, according to Farlex 2012, it is the actual output or results of an organization obtained when measured against its intended outputs, goals, and objectives. Richard et al. 2009 proposed that organizational performance encompasses three specific areas of organization's outcomes: financial performance, profits, return on assets, return on investment, and others, product market performance, sales, market share, and others, and shareholder return performance, total shareholder return, economic value added, and others, which are the three primary outcomes of corporate organizations being analyzed. Leadership, according to Abelio et al. 1999, Rui 2001, leadership is one of the vital factors for improving firm performance. Leaders, as the key decision makers, determine the acquisition, development, and deployment of organizational resources, the conversion of these resources into valuable products and services, and the delivery of value to organizational stakeholders. Thus, they are strong sources of managerial and sustained competitive advantage. Organizational justice has become an important factor in literature. Modern disciplines have been calling for study in organizational justice, which could add essential knowledge for the smooth function of human resources of the organization. Organizational justice is exhibited by management if it takes fairness as a serious issue when it engages in decision-making regarding its employees. Compensation and benefits. Compensation is important for both employers and employees regarding attracting, retaining, and motivating employees. Ray and Ray 17 regarded compensation as important for employees since it is one of the main reasons people work. Compensation includes claims on goods and services paid to an employee in the form of money or a form that is quickly and easily exchangeable into money at the discretion of the Nell et al. Compensation or total compensation is the total of all rewards provided to employees in return for their services. According to Bratton and Gold 34, French benefits refer to the part of the rewards package provided to an employee in addition to the guaranteed basic remuneration. An employee remuneration package includes guaranteed employment benefits such as retirement benefits, medical aid benefits, life and disability insurance, housing benefits, car allowance or cell phone allowance. Martuccio 36 elaborated that French benefits can also include prerequisite perks such as relocation payments, flexible start dates, sign-on bonuses, use of company-owned property, health club membership, tuition reimbursement, financial planning, and clothing allowances. Employee engagement. According to Talent Keeper, this theory employee engagement is employees' willingness and ability to contribute to organizational success, especially their willingness to give continuous effort, going beyond the expectation to make an organization more successful. Employee engagement is a strategic initiative to not only improve employee attitudes but also the key to talent retention through building leadership, creating job satisfaction, and a high-performing organization. The signs of increase in levels of employee engagement are expressed through employee commitment, satisfied and loyal customers, excellent performing workforce who in turn results in a productive and profitable organization. Conceptual framework. The independent variables are leadership, organizational justice, compensation and benefits, and employee engagement. And the dependent variable is organizational performance. Statement of the problem. This study aims to determine the factors affecting organizational performance in Dipolog and Dapitan cities. Specifically, it seeks to answer the following questions. Number 1, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of sex, age, and years of employment? How do the respondents rate the factors affecting organizational performance in terms of leadership, organizational justice, compensation and benefits, and employee engagement? What is the organizational performance of rural banks in Dipolog and Dapitan cities? Is there a significant relationship between the organizational performance of rural banks in Dipolog and Dapitan cities when analyzed according to the profile of the respondents in terms of sex, age, and years of employment? What training, design, intervention program, what model or framework, new management model would be fit to use? Null hypothesis. There is no significant relationship between the organizational performance of rural banks in Dipolog and Dapitan cities when analyzed according to the profile of the respondents in terms of sex, age, and years of employment. Significance of the study. This study aims to determine the factors affecting organizational performance in Dipolog and Dapitan cities in rural banks to know what the organization should not only provide their employees with great infrastructure and other facilities, but also freedom to make their work exciting and also to providing them an environment wherein they can say goodbye to monotonous work. Thus, working in a safe and cooperative environment adds to the engagement level of an employee. Scope and delimitation of the study. The study focused on determining the factors affecting organizational performance in Dipolog and Dapitan cities in rural banks. This is limited only to the employees of the rural banks of Dipolog and Dapitan cities. Number of employees will be the respondents of the study. Further, the study was delimited to the results of the respondents' answer towards the given questionnaires. In Chapter 2, Review of Related Literature and Studies. Organizational performance, organizational justice, leadership, compensation and benefits, and the last is employee engagement. The same terminologies that I've already defined in Chapter 1. Chapter 3, Research Methodology, Research Design, Research Environment, Respondents of the Study. Research Design. The study utilized the descriptive correlational method of research. It allows a description of the relationship between the problems under investigation and a relationship analysis to be taken out to determine the factors affecting organizational performance in Dipolog and Dapitan cities. The researcher tries to come up with a sample that will show a representative of this study. The technique under this method is by having a survey that has been given to selected respondents in Dipolog and Dapitan city. In this descriptive method, a researcher is describing the situation or any cases that is under this research study. It is a method that is created by gathering data, analyzing, and presented the collected data. Research environment. The researcher will be conducting this research in selected rural banks of Dipolog and the Pitan cities, Zamboanga del Norte. The researcher will look for the factors affecting organization performance in Dipolog and the Pitan cities, and also the place where the researchers conduct their study has an environment qualified for the purpose of this study. Respondents of the study. The respondents of the study are the employees of the rural banks in the cities of Dipolog and Dapitan with 400 employees. The rural banks in the cities of Dipolog and Dapitan are as follows: East-West Bank, Rural Bank of Rizal, One Network Bank, Katipunan Bank, and First Valley Bank. Frequency distribution of respondent. East-West Bank, number of employees are 9, percentage of employees 2.25, sample size is 4.5. Rural Bank of Rizal, number of employees are 174, percentage of employees is 43.5, sample size is 87. One Network Bank, number of employees are 10, percentage of employees is 2.5, sample size is 5. Katipunan Bank, number of employees are 114, percentage of employees is 28.5, sample size is 57. First Valley Bank, number of employees are 10, percentage of employees is 2.5, sample size is 5. Community Rural Bank of Dapitan City Incorporated, number of employees is 83, percentage of employees is 20.75, sample size is 41.5, for a total of 400 employees, and percentage of employees are the total of 100% and sample size the total of 200. Using the Sloven's formula, the target sample respondents are shown below, where n the population size, small n the sample size, and the small letter e is the margin of error. N is equal to 400 over 1 plus 1.015. N is equal to 400 over 1 plus 400 times 0.5 to the square root of 2. N is equal to 200. N is equal to 200 sample size. Employees. Research instruments. The instruments to be used in gathering data in this study was made only on the researcher. It is consisted into two parts. The part 1 was designed for the profile of banks in Dipolog and the Pitan cities, and the part 2 as for the factors affecting organizational performance. The items were carefully chosen to suit the needs of the study. Data gathering procedures. In order to gather the data needed for the research, the researcher needs to perform a series of steps and procedures, and these are: make some questions for the survey questionnaire, finalize the question in the survey needed, approach the respondents in a very right manner, gather the information answered by the respondents, generalize all the information that's been gathered. Scoring procedure. To arrive at a quantitative description of the responses of the questionnaires, the following percentage rating scores and descriptive equivalents will be used. The formula is percentage is equal to F times 100 over N, where F represents the frequency to a certain category, N represents the total response of the study, and the 100 is equal to constant in converting decimal to percent. The interpretation of the weighted mean will be done on the factors affecting organizational performance in the Pitan and Dipolog cities in terms of leadership, organizational justice, compensation and benefits, and employee engagement. In the scale of 4.21 to 5, the numerical description is 5, which is strongly agreed. In the scale of 3.41 to 4.20, the numerical description is 4, which is agreed. In the scale of 2.61 to 3.40, the numerical description is 3, which is neutral. In the scale of 1.81 to 2.60, the numerical description is 2, which is disagreed. And in the scale of 1 to 1.80, the numerical description is 1, which is strongly disagreed. The interpretation of each numerical descriptions are: 5. This statement describes an activity that is definitely performed in the school or at home, at least 90% probability of being practiced. This condition is described as strongly agreed. 4. This statement describes an activity that is most likely performed in the school or at home. 75% to 89% probability of being practiced. This condition is described as agree. For 3. This statement describes an activity that is most likely performed in the school or at home. 50% to 74% probability of being practiced. This condition is described as neutral. For 2, this describes an activity that is most likely did not perform in the school or at home. 25% to 49% probability of being practiced. This condition is described as disagree. And for the lowest, which is 1, this describes an activity that is definitely not performed in the school or at home. 1% to 24% probability of being practiced. This condition is described as strongly disagree. Statistical treatment. The treatment of the data responses to the questionnaire that been surveyed by the respondents were statistically analyzed. The analysis will be a descriptive method designed in a qualitative research approach. All the information gathered from the survey will be recorded and analyzed by the researcher. The following statistical symbols were used to interpret the data gathered. Poisson-Ricci coefficient of correlation. These tools will be used to test relationship of the factors affecting organizational performance in the P10 and Dipolog cities and the profile of the respondents. The formula is given below, where x is equal to the independent variable, y is equal to the dependent variable, n is equal to the total number of sample respondents, and the symbol is equal to the summation symbol. Ethical consideration. The objective of this study was to examine the factors affecting organizational performance in the P10 and Dipolog cities. To achieve the purpose of this study, ethical consideration was taken into account by obtaining consent from the respondents, and the data needed by the study was gathered through the use of survey questionnaires. Participants and their responses were protected by observing maximum confidentiality. They were assured that their answers to the questions will be treated with respect and professionalism and will not be disclosed to any other person aside from the researcher. The quality of the study's result was assured to embody the highest degree of honesty and integrity throughout the process. The involvement of the respondents in this study was aimed at satisfying and achieving the purpose of the research towards the employees of their respective rural banks. And that ends my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. May the Lord God bless us always.